The earth was flat, and if you went too far, you would fall off. Now the earth is wrong, and if the shape changes again, everybody would have started laughing. And that is in the words of who? Damian Marley. So, gotta pick up the garbage from the floor. I could come here today and stand up behind this podium, the bully pulpit, and speak to you about youth and culture from a very academic realm. And in that sense, I mean, I would just be disseminating information. And what is the point? And Hamlet, who I'll call Hammers, came to me and saying that the purpose of this forum here is to inspire. So, in the same demeanor that my brother Mohammed Moakil did, I'll have to get comfortable if you want to break out into our session, and it can be interactive, and we can have some fun. So, off of my old shoes. 7 years old now, at holding firm. My name is Amilcar Sanatan, and that clip you just saw is from A Few Good Men, Jack Nicholson, and it's a famous line, so you'd see a lot of parodies of it. Can you handle the truth? You can't handle the truth. And I'm here to talk about youth and culture. The first form I was going to look at is a very contemporary case. This year about WikiLeaks. By show of hands, who here knows about WikiLeaks? Who was the dude? Well, the famous dude behind that whole romantic movement. Julian Assange. That's right. And Julian Assange literally is a digital gangster. A cyber gunta. And he'll sit down behind his computer with a team of activists and dig up in your files. Imagine if somebody could go into your Facebook account and read all your messages. You could be in real trouble, especially some men. Because your relationship status may say one thing, but your messages may say another. So, this is not tattoos on my hand. This is the purpose of not using paper. I wrote this here. So from time to time, I'll just do that. Ain't no trick. I ain't had no problem. And I could see with these two eyes. It's just to kind of get the word now. So, we got on WikiLeaks. And it was established to expose the abuse, expose the hypocrisy, political violence, and injustice. So I was there, I mean, literally in the vacation. Well, my life actually begins at September. That's how the academic year molds you. And that is we're going to get into how our lives have been programmed and behavior. That you could see yourself as a new year. When January comes around for a UWI student, I mean, I find it so hard to say Happy New Year. Why? I'm in a new semester. I'm going to have 5 more exams. Because I'm competent, I don't have to do 6 and 7. But I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be doing tutorials and submitting assignments. But I know my new year begins in September. And like every anxious UWI student, especially a male, looking to see, what is the fresh crop of young girls coming inside. And I guess the girls will do the same as well. But that's the fun part of it. Beside that point, I was reading up on Julian Assange. And I was interested that he has this commitment to truth, to expose hypocrisy. We have been so accustomed, the big word is duplicitousness of our leaders in particular, and the way they speak to us. How many times do we know what is actually happening? How many times do we know the truth? He said his job was to investigate all these diplomatic files going through the cables and getting the information. So when he exposed the former president of Kenya, President Mao, right, Amar Mao, for sanctioning, allowing to have death police patrols and embezzling funds from the state government, that was like the big thing on the news. And you know what he did? He received an award. But then when he really started to get serious, well, more serious. Why so serious? He went and exposed the United States government. And he said, and he showed actually with information of 160,000 deaths of the Afghan and Iraq war. So what he called is the war diaries between 2004 and 2010, I believe. And what happened though? All the state services and the security powerholders came on television and said, that guy is a terrorist. He's evil. We should lock him up. You know, these digital attackers, these counters, we're afraid of him. And then he was the bad guy. But you don't find that funny when we get the news from BBC and CNN and not Al Jazeera, that on one hand, when he was investigating in Kenya on corruption, an African third world state, but dude, you're doing a good job. The truth. But when the good guys look bad, you are the bad guy. It takes nothing to make the bad guys look bad. So if you find out Ahmadinejad has bombs, okay, surprise. But Obama and some is the president, and they have a diplomatic center in another country, and then they side with terrorists, or funding them, or giving them arms, the good guys look bad. And then there's a problem. And why can't we live in a world where we have truth? Because some people would say it's just not practical. And honestly, in my opinion, especially somebody involved in art, that there must be a realm by which we don't have these masks and outfits and clothes and shoes that are 7 years old. A little ugly too, so take your mind out. Don't show my shoe. Camera guys, come on. It is. That's the point. What am I apologizing for my ugly shoe for? It's mine. But that's the thing about it, about the truth. See, I'm looking at my hand. And it's about freedom. We get information. But we have to ask ourselves, this idea of what Julian Assange is doing with WikiLeaks is challenging our ideas of what freedom and responsibility is. What do we do when we have no freedom? Is it going to be like Egypt? And what do we do when we have that freedom? How do we manage the pendulum and balance our passions and what it is we want? You see, the thing about information is that we understand it in a very managerial sense, how it is we manage information. Like businesses, you take your Magna card and you go into the supermarket and you think you're going to get back $20 after you spend $20,000, and that is a big discount, and not knowing that they are detailing your lives and your spending habits, and they have that as information to market right back to you. But we learn to organize information. But how is the world going to deal now with new frameworks by which we access information with old ones? You're going to have a war, some serious trouble. They will have sides, and they'll call certain people enemies. Now, this is what we must take with us now as we move on. Einstein said, the search for truth is more precious than its possession. The thing about it is that there is no absolute truth. But this generation is hungry for it. How long we would want to continue having the theater of people talking to us, all good. Big rallies, 1,000 people, big promises, promising rain and dry season. Are we going to sit there and accept that? It's crazy. Now take that idea about freedom and the search for truth by some digital gangsters and bring it to our lives. Watch my hand again. Right. Yeah. Point 3. Right. That we buy into illusions. And many illusions we buy into, literally buy into it. So the excuse we have for not doing something many times is what? What is the excuse we have when we buy into illusion? You ever say to somebody, hey, I wanted to do scuba diving to get my license. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. What is the excuse we have? Anybody have a clue? Just throw it up. I see sister just uttered it. Money. Is that money? And money is a means and a means and a means. So we're going to be like, yeah, so I went primary school and thing, and if I don't pass through my first choice school, I'm going to be done, so I pay to go to a private school. And when I get in a private school now, I'm going to do all these courses. I'm not going to do humanities courses or social studies, because I'm done, see. I get into science because I want to be a doctor or a lawyer, not because I want to save lives or defend justice, but I want to get a higher pay. But mommy pick your courses from Form 3. So you just there going on, I really like school now, but I just have these heavy textbooks in my bag. And then reach into university and think like, hey, boy, university all of life, boy. Sex nice and it's a beautiful thing, but I don't watch my position. And then I drive my cars, but the campus police reach. And I'm just doing all these things, and I'm going to do my degree, try to graduate with honors. But what honor is there when you're taking other people's ID numbers, trying to find out when their birthday is, logging into the page, and try to see how high they're scoring because you're in a rat race. Like the big mural in the humanities undercroft saying, you is a race. A bunch of blockhead people jump kicking each other. If you don't know it, we'll come and walk afterwards. I will guide all like Moses in the desert, right? A bunch of blockhead people jump kicking each other because you is a race. It have one girl in the back because she obviously in a skirt. You understand? That's how they imply it. And the head box like a computer. And you can tell the difference between a university education and sitting down in a net cafe and doing distance learning. What community do we have? And then we get the job. But it don't matter because we on the road and he's a good boy, she's a good girl, she bright. So we go in there and we work in a job and then you go in a job and then there's your lawyer and your doctor and thing. And then you're vexed that the government ain't paying you enough. And you keep crawling and crawling. And then you say, if I'm going to have children, I must be happy to have children because that's my creation. And that's the highest form of human creation and reproduction. And then we can say, nah, I don't put my children back in a good school to do what I didn't do. And then they're going to have another means, another means, another means until you fall off and you realize you have achieved nothing or a lot in this world but happiness. Because no matter how long you live away from the truth, it does not stop being the truth. You don't forget the truth. That's why people put up defenses around it. Or that they will cuss you back or tell you that don't matter or try to hide it at best. All you do is become better at lying to yourself. And that, my friends, is the scariest thing. So how it is we want to live our lives? As unhappy, successful people, but to be truthful and poor in your eyes. What Marcus Garvey talk about, the biggest poverty is the poverty of ambition. That we must aim, that we must be free. And freedom is a hard thing. I'm going to deal with this issue about homophobia, as an example. About how we try to tell people and police them and organize their lives. Now, I'm not here to discuss your attitudes towards homosexuality, whether they're right or wrong, is a yes or no. Those binaries have no place right now, right here. Is that I remember, now I'm heterosexual, in boys' school, and you have a fight, and there's a ceremony around a fight. Take off the louvers, take off the fan, because you had to be sweaty in this fight. Close the doors so the teacher can't see. Everybody soak around. In them days, we didn't have brrr, we used to be blip, 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 blip. I didn't even think we had ball. We used to be ball. Remember the gun finger? Right? So you're ball. I know where we ball in, but we ball. And we circling, and the two men fighting. You're ball. Now, but you're on boys, and he kicking up each other and coughing up each other. And then I asking myself, I know I'm not a homosexual. He knows he's not a homosexual. Why are we fighting out this buller man who is not in this room right now? Knowing that, just because you're homosexual, that does not mean you're a pedophile. You're not on boys. You could be on men at that age because you're a man. Pedophilia is criminalized, as well as homosexuality in Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean. So we fight now this buller man because we're trying to create a construct of our manhood, and we're asking ourselves not to be less of a man right now. And sometimes we'd be fighting to prove to our fathers we were men. I never forgot, I was a good guy in school, of course. Inside the principal's office, a father sitting down with his son was like, after a fight, at least I know you're not boys. And in fact, he's taking confidence now in his son's ability to be a man, to fist it out. But the funny thing about men is that we watch women and say, Jez, I'm so emotional, Jez. As if anger is not an emotion. And we angry. And we would watch our wall and cough it because we don't want to cry. Or make our hands bleed, the knuckles broken, and sit down in your corner and say, he's a man, boy, because bad man don't cry. And as I always say, bad man don't pull the USB from the computer safely. And bad man is walking to Subway and ask for hops. And bad man is walking to KFC and ask for japs. And then we ask ourselves, what does Batman actually do? Probably lie to himself and not be himself. And I'm saying this as a man, in front of everybody, as naked as I can be, other than the polo and the pants. And if I wore a vest, this mic wouldn't feel so awkward running across my breast. Right? I trying to be as naked as I can be right now and talk to you. Right? And I know I have a little time limit, so this is how I'm going to wrap it up. That I went to some schools, and I went to school in Barbados as well. And when I came to sixth form, I was involved in a group, and those who went Trinity College East and Bishop Sancy High School East would know there's a club called the BATC Culture Club. And what we wanted to do was create a space for ideas to discuss, to make it cool to be conscious, and being smart as a sexy thing. Right? I would say, I don't want to be cool if I could be a nerd. I like books. The only thing I don't do is wear glasses. I say, I'm so cool I don't wear glasses. You understand? I'm so nerd I don't wear those glasses. And I wish I had glasses sometimes, because these frames these days, they'd be so chic. You know what I mean? All right, that's my jealousy, sorry. Petty one, though. But still, I came to University of the West Indies right here. When I had the chance to even go to Jamaica, but I was involved in a group called We Speak, which is a student advocacy group and a creative arts group. And people say, Amilcar, you just keep talking, you keep talking. You want to deal with racism, sexism, colorism, socialism, capitalism, isms, schisms, like you're singing some song. And I said, it's one thing we're really here for. Every third Wednesday of the month and every day. Is that we have an attitude. That do you walk into society and accept everything? What Jack Nicholson talked, that blanket of freedom. That this is how it is. Or do you problematize it all? Expose its contradictions, and that is exposing contradictions in yourself. To understand that maybe this is not the best way things can be done, and I would create a creative solution to better this, to improve the quality of my life and others. Because let us not forget, inculcated in us are many dichotomies, whether it be white over brown, brown over black, man over woman, parents over children, old over young. And that has molded our desires, our expectations, and including our imagination. And it will take years upon years and years working on this to be better and to have that freedom. So all I'm asking us to be here, though, is to be sincere with ourselves, to have that honesty, to pursue that truth, not just from all the people we keep talking about and it's easy pointing fingers at, like the politicians, or sometimes the guild of students, but us. I get a clap. Thanks. Everybody know what's my work this year. But us. And on youth and culture, the question I ask when I leave is, what attitude does my generation have towards the truth? Thank you.